All right, all praise to the Most High Yahweh, and to His Son, my brother Amashiach Yahweh Shai. Peace and blessings to my brothers and sisters from the Israelite tribes. All right, in this video, we're getting into the topic of traits, dominant and recessive traits. This is a, a debated topic in Israel among a lot of Israelites. We tend to want to get into physical traits and feature versus the hardcore DNA understanding of people groups and people. So with that in mind, we are gonna just look into the basic traits of these two types of features. So these are the common, dominant, and recessive traits on this page, and we're gonna get into some of this stuff. I'm gonna get into a few comments about some of this, but we're gonna just go straight to the bottom of the page to the chart before I give my brief history of looking into this stuff. So uh, we're gonna go over the dominant traits. A blood type, abundant body hair, astigmatism, that's dealing with the vision, um, B blood type, baldness in male, broad lips, broad nose, dwarfism, hazel or green eyes, high blood pressure, large eyes, migraine, um, Mongolian, fold, nearsightedness, RH factor plus, second toe longest, short stature, six finger, six fingers, web fingers, tone deafness, white hair streak. Those are your dominant traits. Now for the recessive traits, you're dealing with O blood type, little body hair, normal vision, O blood type, not bald, thin lips, narrow nose. So the thin lips and the narrow nose would be the more consistent things to recognize from the recessive traits versus the other things, as we're gonna soon to find out um, shortly. So the narrow nose, normal growth, blue or gray eyes, normal blood pressure, small eyes, normal um, your migraines, um, no fold in eyes, meaning the corners, your eye corners are not fold. So we are not talking about the eyebrow eyebrow folds or the forehead folds. Normal vision, no factor RH negative. First or big toe longest, tall stature, 5 fingers normal, normal fingers, normal tone hearing, normal hair coloring. There's no streaks. So now we go back to the top. Now that we got those things out the way, these are some highlighted stuff, things that they um, used to represent certain traits. So we're going to deal with the widow peak. So the widow peak is a dominant Ellie or Elo. The Elo or Ellie is dealing with the um, the traits that you are receiving from both parents. So two of them, and you get one from each. And this is your outward expression of those content of basic DNA information showing up on the outside of your appearance. So the widow peak is a dominant trait. So it's interesting that they use this person right here. This is Zidane. He's a ex-famous footballer, and he had a widow peak, but as you can see, he was going bald, and he is bald. So he's definitely a dominant trait person. So the interesting thing is this. Okay, um, I'm bald. Dominant people or people with interesting hormones like aggressive or high content of hormones. They have nerve and blood issues with high blood pressure or nerve problems. So, uh, due to having good genes, you have bad underlying health problems. So, you can have good genes, but also have health problems. And this is that that factor that weighs into um, some of your genetic problem that are passed on or passed along. And so this is one example of a dominant trait, and this is another example of, guess what, of a Edomite. So this guy right here is a pale complexion Edomite person. And the reason why I say that is not because he looks like a Caucasian and he's a white person, but his DNA is on the record, and he has what is known as a Shemitic Edomite Y-DNA haplogroup marker. So uh, this is proof to begin with that um, just randomly saying that white people having recessive genes are, you know, Edomites. Well, this person right here obviously looks pale complected and he has dominant traits. So, what is it now? Either there's two different groups of white people, or uh, many Israelites have to re-educate themselves on a lot of different things about humans before they get into talking about recessive traits. So that's with Zidane, and then we scroll down. Um, I did when I was getting into physical traits. I tried to study the earlobe, and the earlobe thing was too difficult and too hard to get a consistent read on who's who and it was just, so many different types of earlobes and stuff. So it's not a sure thing to say, okay, this is dominant, this is recessive, and so on, because some people just don't have earlobes. So now this is the part, the cleft chin and the dimples. This is where I got into discovering that there's a possibility of there being two different groups of white people, two different races of white people. So the cleft chin, so I read on one site or a few sites that the cleft chin was a recessive thing. And then other sites would say it's a dominant trait. And the reason and how I stumbled upon this whole cleft chin thing, when most of the time they don't post it as a common feature. Let's scroll down again. They don't post it as a common feature like on here. They don't post it just like the widow peak and other things. So obviously there's other uh, recessive and dominant features that we have to look into. But other than that, um, I stumbled over the cleft chin thing via account information going into diseases. So, and it was it wasn't like the camp was talking about cleft chin or anything. They mentioned a certain disease, and the certain disease was dealing with bone health. So, from that point on, I tried to tag team the physical trait stuff with ethnic diseases or race based genetic diseases. And that's how I got into studying this cleft chin, because I was thinking maybe this is a mutation dealing with a deformity, and the deformity is coming from a deficiency of calcium and vitamin D. So, and I noticed a lot of black people with a cleft chin. So I was like, maybe this is the um, information that I was looking for to figure out who is a terror and who is Edom at the same time. And that information was like 50-50, because I think the chin and the dimples was planted propaganda by scientists that was influenced by Hollywood. So I believe this is propaganda. So so after a while, I was like, well, there gotta be at least two different groups of white people at this point, because a lot of black people also have the cleft chin, and some sites are saying it's recessive, some sites are saying dominant. I'm like, is it dominant because of a skin complexion thing, or is it dominant or recessive for the same reason, complexion um, or the alleles that is given? And the same thing with the dimples. Well, anybody could get dimples. Fat people could get dimples. So the dimple thing, I couldn't really agree with. So So, so that's my point of view with this information. And then we have the freckles. I have freckles, and most of the freckles on my body are on my legs. So, uh, freckles is a inherit one pair of dominant gene. Those without freckles have inherited two recessive genes for freckles. So, and then we go up right here to the naturally curly hair people, and this is the problem. So this is a what we call a dominant trait right here, and the straight hair is recessive. The only problem is uh, this curly hair is like kinky hair, so you still have stringy hair or straight hair. After a while, after that one bend of curly hair, the rest of the hair is straight. So what they talking about? What are they talking about? So real quick, I'm gonna go into this other page. Where, what is it? Okay, is this the one? Yeah. Okay, so this is your, you know, another page to just support some of the basic stuff about recessive traits. So I'm gonna slowly scroll down the page, and if I see something that is to my liking, I might comment on it. But I'm gonna just scroll down this page slowly. I just Google searched this page, and I saw some random stuff at the bottom that I might say something about. But other than that, this is my first time looking at the whole page. So this is dealing with plant stuff at that point. And now we are getting into some basic DNA stuff dealing with plants and stuff, because this is similar to certain stuff that we need to understand about skin complexion in humans. So that's why they got into that, because of the skin complexion and the eye color part. So now we are in the human recessive trait stuff, and they made some notation on some dominant stuff to confirm what is dominant and then what is recessive. And some of this we already looked at on the other site. So I wanted to scroll down a little bit further. Okay, having blue eyes and is recessive to brown eyes. Okay. Eye color being polygenic is white green, and hazel eyes is this. A person with green or hazel eyes has some genes for brown eyes and some for blue eyes. Now, this is the part that I wanted to get into right here. Tay Sachs and cystic fibrosis. So, these are um, the Tay Sachs is dealing with a Caucasian disease, technically. And then sickle cell is dealing with a black person disease, technically. So you have some disorders are autosomal recessive, such as cystic fibrosis, Tay Sachs disease, and sickle cell. And autosomal means that they are caused by a recessive gene. So, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? So that is saying that your Aries or your Elo is being overran by a possible mutation that's depending if both of your parents are dominant or if both of your parents are recessive. So you have a lot of black people with sickle cell, and sickle cell is just a simple mutation of of a healing factor to prevent malaria. That all that is. And like the Elo or the Ellie says, you get the trait from either either parents. Like you get either one dominant or one recessive or both dominant, and so on. So some of these people with sickle cell could have it at a lower capacity level than some people. So they could have it to where it's a high health risk, or they can have it as a low health risk. Nevertheless, they have sickle cell, and the sickle cell is a deterrent against malaria. So it is one of those mutation diseases. So, so this was the information that I wanted to share with everybody dealing with um, genes. You know, so we're gonna go back to the previous page and look at the charts again. 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . So I hope everybody is being edified and coming to a better understanding what exactly are the traits, you know. And yes, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do a part two to get into the whole blonde hair and red hair stuff. Because let's see, is it on here? Blonde hair, blonde. No, it's not on here. So for sure, we get look at the thin lips and the narrow nose for recessive gene traits. Let's see, is it on here? It loads hair color, hair color. Nope, nobody is looking at the hair color because most of the time the hair color thing just vary because like the gray hair, like the gray hair for older people most of the time that's a deficiency that happens. That's not you becoming wise, but that's a deficiency. I forgot what deficiency it was, um, but it's several deficiencies that is producing the gray and the white hair color. So with that being said, with that being said, um, I wanted to say once again, all praise to the Most High Yahweh and to His Son, my brother, Amashiach Yahweh Shai, and peace and blessings to my brothers and sisters from the Israelite tribes. Thank y'all all once again for giving me this chance to present information, and hopefully I edified somebody with the information that I have been sharing. So once again, thank you all, and please continue to view the videos, and please stay tuned and um, stay with the proper understanding of everything that I'm sharing, because like maybe you won't get it right here right now, but eventually you'll collect information and other data that that you can connect to better understand these things. It takes time to understand uh, many of these topics that our people are getting into for new informations and reference points of who and where our people are, and not just on who our people are, but who is Edom. You know, let's see, we have to learn who are the Edomites. You know, so we have to find out who are the nations of people that we have to be watchful of as well. So this is the information that I wanted to share, and I thank y'all for letting me do so.